Today's Toy Spot, we are continuing our looks at the Marvel Legends Build-A-Figure Sandman wave, as we have a look today at Spider-Man's Green Goblin. Goblin comes with two interchangeable heads for Sandman, the almost finished Sandman that we're going to be having a look at. He also comes with a pumpkin bomb and also comes with a glider, a Goblin glider. Side of the box features Green Goblin. Not the nicest of artwork there, if you ask me. Carries over to the other side, so if you don't like this one, you'll like this one just as much. Back of the package shows you what the figure's going to look like with Pumpkin Bomb in hand. A read-up says, a cackling menace aided by advanced technology, Green Goblin seeks to destroy Spider-Man in the pursuit of ultimate power. Down below, the 7 figures to build Sandman are Green Goblin, Spider-Man 2099, Marvel's UK Spider, or Spider UK, Ms. Marvel, Black Costume Spider-Man, Marvel's Jackal, and Marvel's Shocker. Technically, it says you need 7 figures, but really you only need 6 figures. Black Costume Spider-Man, as you'll see, does come with interchangeable hands. So technically, you don't really need Black Costume Spider-Man. But honestly speaking, the one that I really wanted to get out of all of these was this guy here anyways, which I think they bank on. They know you're going to get Black Costume Spider-Man. That's a no-brainer. So why not throw accessories that you really wouldn't necessarily need to get, throw them in with a character you're probably going to get anyways. Very, very smart. www.hasbro.com/Spider-Man. Check out some more stuff from Hasbro. More stuff. Spot's going to take a break and get this opened up. When we come back, though, we're going to get a better look at the Spider-Man Green Goblin from the Marvel's Sandman line. There's more anyway, guys. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Your checkout list for building Sandman, you'd be checking off the head. Green Goblin comes with heads, not just one head, but he actually comes with 2 heads for Sandman. One that looks like he's gotten a bit of a pounding from Spider-Man, reforming his face perhaps. And the other one is just a regular human face. Honestly, I like this head more so. Displaying Sandman for me, I've always gravitated towards more so that if I had the option, I would be displaying him. I just had one of the arms pop off here. I always generally like displaying Sandman more with a human head, and then if anything, I would just replace out the, I would want hands more with the sand going on there, and just pop the head on, which is extremely difficult. You know, for a head to be interchangeable, there we go. For a head to be interchangeable, they give you the largest ball joint to have to work around. Let's pop that back into place. There we go. I'll tighten up all the joints and everything, make sure everything's kosher for when we have a look at this guy. Really like him, though. I think I quite like him. Not really feeling as much this head. Again, just my preference. Not to say that your preference is not to display him with this. That's just my own personal opinion. But I like the look of him quite a bit. Looking forward to having a look at this guy more in depth in the, not the next review, because the next review is going to be Black Costume Spider-Man, but the review after that. So stay tuned for that. I'm segueing. I'm kind of giving you a tease as to what you're going to be seeing in a future video. I'm sure you'd know that anyways. Green Goblin, we'll get him to hopefully stand. There we go. Green Goblin comes with a glider. There's the Goblin glider. I think it's actually the same Goblin glider as the Hobgoblin that we had to look at. So nothing really new to report there. Wish they had given him some paint though. Not to expect bells and whistles, a dark wash maybe on the glider, but if anything, they wish they could have painted the back turbine or something just to give some, just to show that you care, Hasbro, just to show that you care. The glider is a soft, kind of rubbery plastic. The struts there in place for Green Goblin to put his little curly shoes into. I'll show you that in a second. And Goblin also comes with a pumpkin bomb, which let's get a close look at it. Painted nicely in yellow. Big, creepy looking smile on the Goblin pumpkin bomb, and painted in green. Very nice. You can take the pumpkin bomb and wedge it into his hand. It's a lot of it is just friction, a lot of it's luck to get that into his hand. Sometimes it doesn't sit the greatest, I have to admit. And sometimes if I give up on the one hand, on the other hand, I try then on this hand here. And again, it just sits, doesn't sit the most secure, I have to admit. Even making use of the flame, because the flame you can kind of catch on to the open area of his hands, but even then, it doesn't do the greatest of jobs, I have to admit, by staying in place. And it's just a matter, again, of luck getting it to actually stay in place, and also not to drop it, which I caught it, yes, before it rolled off. Goblin also comes with his little man purse. It's not a man purse, it's European. Comes with a little sash purse there. Different color than his body, different color from his arms and his boots, or his gloves and his boots. It's more like a pinkish purple color. All right, so let's have a look at Green Goblin. I have to honestly say, a couple of different things. My favorite Spider-Man villains of all time are Green Goblin, not in this necessarily in this order. Green Goblin, Mysterio, and Sandman. I want to say Green Goblin still might be my favorite, followed very closely by Sandman and then Mysterio. Those are my three favorite. Let me know down below. Just throw it out there. What's your favorite Spider-Man villains? Let me know down below. So I think when it comes to Green Goblins, generally a lot of times I'll pick them up. I mean, that's just seems so obvious to me. If a new Green Goblin is available, I'm going to go out of my way. I'm going to pick this up. So even if this guy, and I was not reviewing these on YouTube, and I was not necessarily collecting these, just collecting any of them for the sake of collecting, I would likely pick up a Green Goblin. That's just, like, for me, that's the equivalent of a Joker figure or a Clayface figure. I'll just pick those up if they're out there. So I feel like I can be somewhat critical, being a fan of Green Goblin as I am, somewhat critical when figures come out. Do they miss their mark? Do they hit it big? How does this particular Goblin stack up? The honest truth in the matter, I love the face sculpt, but one of the problems I had with this figure, when I initially saw images of him, as kind of like, you know, they always tease, what's the upcoming wave going to look like? And they show you images. When I saw the initial images of Green Goblin, I know for a moment, for that second that I saw, I knew exactly what popped in my head. His face is too dark. Now that I have the figure in hand, and I actually can physically hold him, feel the plastic in between my fingers, what's my first thought? The plastic is too dark. Or his face, in this case, is too dark. The face sculpt is glorious, a devilish look on Green Goblin, big bulging goblin eyes and grimacing teeth showing, peeking through. But honestly, I feel like his face is too dark. So much, I feel, gets lost on the sculpt of this figure because they've given him a very dirty green. It's not to say that I think his coloring should be closer to this, but I feel like it could be just a little bit lighter, granted. Now, when we look at the rest of the figure, I'm going to go back to the face in a second, but when we go to the rest of the figure, he's got this chainmail linked kind of armor suit. That's essentially, you know, what he's wearing. It looks very much like a, you know, something Aquaman would have wore. Hobgoblin also has that same sort of design as well. But I don't feel like the coloring on the legs and the arms, I don't feel like it matches appropriately the color of his face. I don't want the face to match these, nor would I want the darkness of the green to match the arms and the legs. But the greens don't complement each other. This is either too light, this is too dark, but even then, it's not of the same green. Or if you look at the spectrum of it, it's not the same green, where this is a lighter version of that green, and this is a darker version of that green. It's like two different types of green. I don't feel like this green complements this green, and vice versa. One of the more accurate colors of Green Goblin, at least in my opinion, was the Marvel Universe Green Goblin, which I thought was a good choice of green. A smaller figure, yes, but a better choice of green. This figure's face, in my humbled opinion, and again, it's only that, I feel like the face is too dark. If it was lighter, you'd see a little bit more of the details. I think you'd see a little bit more of the really great wrinkles and folds in his face, especially around the area of his brow, and especially where the nose is kind of that little bend, where the eyebrows are really sunken in, and you can see that little crease area around the nose. It looks great, but I feel like it gets lost amongst this dark green. It's way too dark for my liking. The curled hair, or the curled hat, a staple for Green Goblin. I'm also lucky, or happy, that this is classic Goblin and not that abomination of that ultimate Green Goblin. I don't like that figure design, or I don't like that character as a whole. I much more favor a Green Goblin that's in costume like this. And if when we get future Spider-Man sequels to Spider-Man Homecoming, I hope they really go back to giving us something like this. Willem Dafoe gave us a good Green Goblin in the original Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, but I know a lot of people will just say, did not like the Power Ranger design of his costume. I more than admit that. But don't give us an abomination Green Goblin. I don't want an abomination Green Goblin. I want something like this. If you can translate this to the movie, I would be very, very happy. So I'm on the fence. Part of me loves this figure for the sculpt, but the other part of me feels like it's the paint that really kills this figure. The purples are acceptable. The purples also in his hat are quite good, but it's the greens that are throwing me off so much on this. Oh boy, oh boy, boy. So what we can do is we can take his curled shoes. We'll tuck them into the struts of the Goblin glider. You can bend also the knees. Sometimes it's a little easier to bend the knees and then put him into the glider, so you can do that as well. Bend the knees, there we go. And we'll line the feet up, tuck them into the struts, and you can have Green Goblin on his Goblin glider. Looking very, very cool. And then you can try your best to try to finagle getting the bombs into his hand. Not always an accomplished feat, let me tell you. I suppose, other than dropping the glider, I suppose one thing the glider could have had was peg holes, or pegs, to support the peg holes on his feet so that the glider would stay in place and would actually drop it on the floor. There it is right there. A couple of peg holes could have gone a long way as well. When it comes to his posability, let's run through this together. You can always see spots more passionate about certain characters when the videos run longer than others. Articulation on Goblin. His head rotates all the way around. A hinge up and down. And then your tried and true fallback to Marvel Legends articulation. Rotation in the shoulders. A hinge out on the arms. Rotation on the bicep. Double hinged elbows. He does not have what appears to be a rotation right where the glove attaches itself to the forearm, but he does have a rotation on the wrist, as well as a hinge back and forth. Upper torso crunch, a rotation on the waist, like so. The more newer articulation on the legs, so at least it doesn't have that, you rotate it, you hinge it forward, rotate it again, you hinge it out. Nope. Split on the legs, swivel cut on the thigh, double hinge knee, rotation right where the boot is, attaches itself to the leg, and also a hinge and ankle pivot on the feet. If I could gauge how much I would want this figure, how much I would love to love this figure, I would gauge it at like, out of 100, I would have wanted to love this figure at 99%. Can't love a figure 100%, but I would hope the figure could deliver exactly what I want from a Goblin. Honestly speaking, I feel like it delivers as a Goblin, but the paint kills it for him. I just feel like the paint, look at the face, glorious sculpt, but the green is too dark for my liking, and I don't like the coloring of the green on the legs. If this was a more consistent green, or even at the very same, if it was the same green and just a shade lighter, shade darker, and then use those greens, These greens don't match that green. The face sculpt I find is too dark and too muddy. That would destroy, for me, love in this figure. And if I could rate this figure, which I don't really do anymore, but if I rate this figure out of 10, I would give Goblin here an 8, maybe an 8.5. If the paint was a little bit better, I would probably almost even give this guy a 10, maybe just shy of a 10. But easily one of my favorite, my top 3 from this line, but the Goblin really could have been so much better. Paint! Today we were having a look though at the Marvel Legends Sandman wave. We're looking at what I hoped to be one of the all-stars in this wave, and still is, just shy of somewhat muddy paint. We're looking today at the Spider-Man villain, Green Goblin. Stay tuned guys, Spot's got one more video, which is the black costume Spider-Man, so stay tuned for that. Then we're going to have a look at Sandman, then we're going to call it a day. Then the shop owner's going to go home and pack up shop and close up shop and do stuff with his shop and shop. Stay tuned for those videos. Thanks for watching as you always do, guys. I'll see you next time.